Now, some would question, is it unreasonable for man to need forgiveness? Is it unreasonable? In other words, is incurring such a debt unreasonable? Is it unreasonable that the debt is eternal separation from God? Is it unreasonable that the debt that we owe God is for God to express his righteous anger, his righteous wrath upon us? Is it unreasonable? This penalty for our offense, is it unreasonable? Now, the question suggests that the one who is asking the question does not understand the divine being who we have offended. Leviticus 19, 1-2 says, "And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to all the congregation of the children of Israel, and say to them, You, Israel, shall be holy. Why? For I, the Lord your God, am holy." And we sung that today. We have offended a holy, divine being. We have offended a holy God. Holiness is the essential characteristic of God's divine nature. God says, I am holy. God is intrinsically holy. His nature is holy. His being is holy. His works are holy. His word is holy. His name is holy. The essence of all who God is holy. God is holy. To say God is holy is to say that God is eternally separated from his creation with respect to the nature of being and moral character. I will say it again. To say that God is holy is to say that God is eternally separated from his creation with respect to the nature of being and moral character. In other words, God is not like us in being, and he is not like us in moral character. Because of God's transcendent holiness, he expects a similar holiness from his people. He expects a similar holiness. We saw that from Israel, and he also expects that from mankind, from the church. And when that holiness is sinned against, when we transgress against God's holiness, the sinner is deserving of God's holy judgment. The sin that we commit is against a God who is holy. And because he is holy, he's also just, perfectly just. And because God is holy and just, according to his own nature, he must punish sin. That is why forgiveness is necessary. Forgiveness is necessary for the relationship between God and man to be restored. Forgiveness is necessary for God to remove his judgment, for God to remove his wrath upon us. Even as believers, our sins are eternally forgiven, but even our sins presently can hinder our relationship with God. And so our sins presently as believers also need to be forgiven.